Today, Ras Al Khaimah Government Media Office would like to welcome Dr. Natasha Ridge, the Executive Director of the Sheikh Saud bin Sagar Al-Qasmi Foundation for Policy Research. Dr. Natasha is joining us for a video call to discuss how the Foundation is progressing as we look ahead to an innovative and exciting future in Ras Al Khaimah. Dr. Natasha, what are your priorities at the Al-Qasmi Foundation at this time when staff transition back to office working?
Well, thank you, Stephen. It's lovely to chat with you today. Really, our big priority is obviously the safety and security of our staff around, especially in terms of mental and physical health, that one, they are kept, that people feel confident to return to the office, that they feel like appropriate precautions have been taken, but also that we're taking care of underlying anxieties, because we've realized in this period, a lot of the things that people have struggled with, in addition to just fears of physical health, have actually been related more to mental well-being. So that's been a big priority for us. And obviously just that we can deliver on our core activities to continue supporting the government in its work with teachers, with students, and with artists across the community as we gear up for the next RACFAF of 2021.
How do you see the role of IT and communications infrastructure in maintaining continuity and performance efficiency at the Foundation during this time?
Well, I think all of us would agree that the role of IT was already central before, but it's become even more central now, especially with terms of working from home and the fact that we might at any stage have to suddenly return to working from home. So we've been upgrading our systems, upgrading some of our infrastructure, and just making sure that employees will be able to have access to high-speed communications. But also part of that, not just the infrastructure, but also the use of that has been to monitor screen time as well. Again, this is in line with sort of physical and mental well-being, and to really think about having regular communications. I think consistency has been something very important in this area as well. Communicating consistently about what is happening, what our expectations are, and what are sort of some of the changes that are going on around in the government here and also in the UAE more broadly.
As the Executive Director of a government entity here in Ras Al Khaimah, what do you believe are the most important lessons learned during this period of remote working?
Yes, I think, as I just mentioned before, consistency and then followed by flexibility and really openness to learning will be the three most important lessons I think I've learned, and as an organisation we've had to learn. We've had to be consistent in things like structure and the schedule of the day, having meetings every morning, giving regular communications, but also then we've had to be flexible in adjusting to working from home, adjusting to new ways of meeting, and adjusting to new ways of delivering programs. And that leads to the third one, that we've had to be really open to learn. So it's not the time at all to have a fixed mindset, but we've had to really embrace a growth mindset here about how can we deliver our programs when we can no longer meet with our students or our teachers, or even the people we work with in the RAC correctional facility. So we've had to have that real openness to learning and a growth mindset to help us cope with all of the different stresses and cope with working remotely.
Dr. Natasha, looking ahead to the end of 2020 and beyond, what are the most important projects that you're working on that will achieve the Foundation's goals for Ras Al Khaimah?
Well, Steve, we've got a number of important initiatives coming up and some things that we've actually worked on, but none of that would have been possible without the really strong leadership that we've seen shown by the Emirates authorities, and in particular, His Highness Sheikh Saud bin Sagar Al-Qasmi, the ruler of Ras Al Khaimah. His Highness's vision for the Emirate and I would say his steadiness of hand throughout this whole crisis has been something that has been very reassuring for us as an organisation, but I think also for the whole Emirate. And so all of the things that we're working towards wouldn't have been possible without that feeling of security and that feeling that that there is a plan and a purpose, and that we're all working together towards the same goals. And with that in mind, the big thing obviously that we're working on coming up is the Ras Al Khaimah Fine Arts Festival in 2021. We have over 500 applications, submissions from artists all around the world and a lot locally. And our theme, of course, is hope. Something that we set before the pandemic, so that it's become a very timely theme that we're excited about. And lastly, we've been working on a big series on the impact of COVID-19 on education in the UAE. We've published a number of blogs, a podcast, and a big report on that. And so we really want to work closely with schools and with students and teachers around supporting education much more generally around these issues and when we transition back to school.
Dr. Natasha, thank you greatly. We know your time is very precious. From the Qasimi Foundation to the Media Office and every government entity in between, we are all working closely to achieve a better future for the people who call Ras Al Khaimah home. Thank you again.